With just enough people behind me and in front of me, we could have a tug of war. Good morning, everyone. We all know how challenging it can be to find solutions to vexing problems, and I'm proud to say that Illinois hasn't shied away from getting big things done for working families, especially in the face of adversity. Brought about by the fiscal pain left over from the pandemic, we were staring at a funding cliff for our transit systems. Our hubs of economic strength faced the potential of deep transit service cuts and steep fare increases that would have disrupted the lives of millions of riders across our state, damaged our economy, and added traffic congestion to our streets and our highways. Doomsayers were already writing obituaries for Illinois transit. Yet here we stand at Union Station, a shining symbol of the beauty and the greatness of our transit system, enacting a modern statewide transit bill, demonstrating to the people of Illinois, as well as the nattering nabobs of negativism, that our state is tough and resilient and forward-looking. Far from heading toward the abyss, as some predicted, we are on the verge of delivering a world-class transportation network. This new law not only averts the cliff, but preserves affordability and makes transit safer and more reliable. Thank you all for making that happen. As with any legislative feat of this magnitude, it took a strong coalition of individuals and organizations inside and outside of government to make it possible, and I want to take just a minute to thank some of them. In the General Assembly, President Don Harmon and Speaker Chris Welch, our chief sponsors, Senator Ram Vilivalam and leaders Evedina Delgado and Cam Buckner, Senator Seth Lewis, the sole Republican who voted to save our transit systems, and every single member who fought to get this to the finish line. Our regional partners, Cook County Board President Tony Preckwinkle, Lake County Board Chair Sandy Hart, Chicago Metropolitan Agency for Planning Executive Director Aaron Alleman, along with our friends at Amtrak, represented today by Martin Sandoval II. The folks who keep Illinois transit and transportation moving, whose hours of tireless negotiation helped to get this bill passed, represented here by ATU President Keith Hill, who represents our bus transportation workers, Penny McCoach, who represents our CTA rail workers, AFL-CIO President Tim Dre, and CFL President Bob Reiter. There were many others, by the way, among our members of our labor unions and organized labor who participated in this, and I want to thank them as well. The tenacious environmental and transit advocates, including Audrey Wennick of the Metropolitan Planning Council, Danny Robles of the Illinois Environmental Council, Jackie Grimshaw of the Center for Neighborhood Technology, and Amy Reinell of the Active Transportation Alliance. That is really only scratching the surface of those who made today possible. This required a whole lot of hard work. It required creative compromise, and it required every ounce of our unwavering and shared commitment to quality, affordable transit for all. This new law is designed to modernize Illinois' transit systems, from the far northern reaches of our state to east and west central Illinois to southern Illinois. We are bolstering operations and upgrading trains and tracks and buses, and we're doing it in the most responsible way with no new statewide taxes. For families, For families, for workers, businesses, children, and visitors, this is a once-in-a-generation investment that will benefit everyone, especially the overall Illinois economy. We also needed to bring real meaningful reform to regional transit governance. So we are replacing the RTA and empowering the new Northern Illinois Transit Authority to expand access to transit by integrating our existing transit systems, aligning routes and schedules in a comprehensive service plan covering CTA, Metra, and PACE. NETA will set standards for frequent and equitable service to hold these transit agencies accountable to the riders they serve. It will create a more equitable, user-friendly fare system that offers a single, streamlined program for low-income riders and that works across all transit agencies. The legislation will also help deliver capital projects on time and on budget by building internal capacity at NETA, rather than duplicating work across 3 different agencies, and by cutting red tape for both transit infrastructure and transit-oriented development that adds needed housing and boosts ridership. We have also prioritized safety on public transit to riders so that riders can travel with confidence across Illinois. That includes bringing law enforcement to the table to combat violent crime and creating a transit ambassador program to deploy unarmed staff to improve safety, assist riders, and liaise with both law enforcement and social services. Across the nation, states have been dealing with similar crises by cutting service and increasing fares. We don't think it's right to make people pay more for slower service. Public transportation is too crucial for our economy, for our communities, for our people. And I'm proud that we are delivering for them. So today we celebrate, but there is no time to slow down. We need to continue pushing forward until Illinois truly has the best transit system in the nation, the one our riders need and deserve. And with that, I'm very happy to hand this podium over to a champion for Illinois communities and a great leader who helped to deliver this monumental success, Senate President Don Harmon.
Good morning. A robust public transportation system is vital to the economic well-being, not only of the Chicago metropolitan region, but also the entire state of Illinois. With this law, we will deliver a world-class transit system the people of our great state deserve. We're enacting rider-focused reforms for the future, rather than patching together the transit system from a bygone era and hoping it holds for another decade or two. From the beginning, my focus in all this has been the people who rely on public transportation. The sole purpose of our public transit system is to get people from point A to point B. What I would like to do is for people to be able to walk out their front door, get on a bus, transfer to a train, transfer to another bus, and get to their work, to their doctor, to their school, without waiting too long, without feeling unsafe, without even knowing whether they've been riding on a bus operated by the CTA, a train by Metra, or a van operated by PACE. They should have one app on their phone or one card in their pocket and one schedule. Transit should be easy, safe, clean, and timely. Like far too many buses and trains, these reforms have been a long time coming and face too many delays. Today, those delays end. Today, we commit clearly and unequivocally to a transit system that works for the people who depend on it in every single day. Today, we are saying to the riders across Illinois, you matter. Your time matters, your safety matters. By signing this bill into law, we're building a system designed around riders, not agencies, around outcomes, not excuses, and around the future of Illinois. This law puts people first, strengthens our economy, and moves our state forward together. I also want to specifically thank Senator Ram Vilivalam and the entire Senate Transportation Committee. I see Senator Maddie Hunter here. They all committed to this change and worked tirelessly over the past year to keep it on track. Their persistence, collaboration, and willingness to stay at the table through difficult conversations made this moment possible. Because of their leadership there, we are no longer talking about what might be, we are delivering what Illinois needs. And with that, I'm pleased to turn it over to my partner in the General Assembly, a man who made sure this bill got across the finish line, House Speaker Chris Welch.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you, President Harmon. You know, we're gathered today at Union Station, where trains unite upstate and downstate. We're just outside. The L brings tens of thousands of commuters every single day and gets them home safely every single day. And where buses run across our city and our suburbs. So I want to thank the leaders who brought us all together to celebrate this transformative bill, the best transit bill in America. Governor Pritzker helped get this done. President Harmon helped get this done. Senator Villavelam, did I get that right, Senator? I was close. Helped to get this done. And most importantly, in my eyes, I'm a little biased, the members of the House Democratic Transit Working Group helped to get this done. This group was led by Evadina Delgado and Kim Buckner, and I got to tell you, I felt like at least once a week I was taken to transit school. And those two really educated me on the inner workings of everything about transit, more than I ever wanted to know about transit. Can you give those two a round of applause, please? I also want to give a special shout out to our entire working group, Leader Dee Avalar, Representative Diane Blair Sherlock, Representative Mary Beth Canty, Representative Will Davis, Representative Mary Gill, Representative Matt Hansen, Representative Barbara Hernandez, Representative Han Nguyen, Leader Natalie Manley, Representative Rita Mayfield, Representative Anna Moeller, Representative Yolanda Morris, and last but not least, today is his last day in the General Assembly. He's been my friend since we joined the General Assembly together. He really helped bring to light a lot of the issues that we needed to do in reforms, and that's Representative Marty Moylan. Can we give them a round of applause, please? Cam and Evadina did a great job educating me, but I also want to give a special shout out to the interim CTA president, Nora Learson, who is here today. I got to tell you, I wanted to come out and see things firsthand, and she walked me around every nook and cranny and really helped me learn the system with my own eyes and ears, and I think she's doing a fabulous job. Can we give Nora a round of applause today? She's around here somewhere. We're here today because they not only saw the challenges facing transit in Chicago, in the suburbs and downstate, they saw what transit could be if we all put in the work. And they all know that I say winners do the work. They did the work, and there's a whole lot of winners here today, and I'm just so thankful for each and every one of them. They saw that transit not only unites our communities, it sits at the very heart of every issue people are talking about right now. So this transformative package of reforms, generational investments, is more than just trains and buses. It's about the jobs and opportunity, because those trains and buses keep our businesses running too. Businesses win big here today because their employees will be able to get to work. It's about education, because so many students depend on reliable trains and buses to get to their classrooms. It's about the quality of life, because transit connects us to concerts, sporting events, museums, and the parks that all enrich our lives, that each one of us like to enjoy. It's about equity, because we know that too often the people who need that connection the most are the ones with the least access. And it's about affordability. Affordability is not a Democratic scam. Affordability is real, because having an inexpensive, reliable, and safe way of getting where you're going is the foundation of the communities we can afford. And that's why this goes directly to affordability. And because these leaders recognize that, we united here today to celebrate a bill that transit experts say is the best transit bill in America. It funds transit, it reorganizes the administration, and it simply doesn't just address safety and rider experience, it actually will deliver on safety and ridership experience. It refunded transit, and it fully funded transit, and in my opinion, that's why it's the best transit bill in America. So I'm proud to recognize their work, recognize this transit bill that's going to continue to move Illinois forward, and bring one of the people that really made it happen to the podium. Please recognize Senator Ram Villavalam.
Good morning. What a beautiful morning it is. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. You said my name perfectly. Don't worry, though. We say it 3 different ways in my own family, so I appreciate the kind introduction. I want to start out by saying thank you. Thank you to the Chicago Metropolitan Agency on Planning. Thank you to the Clean Jobs Coalition. Thank you to the Labor Alliance for Public Transportation Coalition. Thank you to the agencies, all the elected officials and residents that testified at our committee hearings and made their voices heard. Thank you to the governor and his team, including Deputy Governor Bria Scudda and her team. Our partners in the House, Leader Vadina Delgado, Leader Buckner, and especially the Senate Transportation Committee who's been on this journey with me. I will do my best not to schedule a 4-hour committee hearing in the near future. No promises. Thank you to the Senate President for his steadfast support of legislation that's rooted in good government and his faith in me to get this done. And of course, our staff. This would not be possible without our staff. All of our Senate President's staff, the House staff, the governor's staff. Specifically, I want to thank Maddie Wilkins, Savannah Thorson, and Vitan Hasku from our Senate staff for all their work. We have been on a journey to deliver the most transformative change to our public transit systems in 5 decades. It started with education that made us realize that every major public transit system in the nation is facing a fiscal cliff because of a decline in ridership that was expedited due to the COVID-19 pandemic. With that said, we got to work. We tasked CMAP with convening stakeholders, spending thousands of staff hours reviewing all of the data, reviewing all of the region's needs, bringing a report to the governor of the Illinois General Assembly. From there, we introduced legislation, bold ideas that have never been talked about before, and some that have been talked about and dismissed. We had 10 committee hearings with more than 40 hours of testimony that really hit on the fact that transit supports our economy. Transit is and must continue to be accessible and equitable. It supports community quality of life. Transit is crucial for public health. It mitigates climate impact. And yes, funding transit is a statewide priority. We continued these discussions, listened to concerns, and learned more about what's working and what's not. We brought business, labor, environment, urban planning, and other stakeholders together. Today, we are gathered to watch Senate Bill 2111, a bipartisan piece of legislation that achieved supermajorities in both chambers, be signed into law. A comprehensive measure providing the necessary reforms and transformational investment needed to ensure every resident, regardless of where they live, is able to get to their school, their job, doctor's appointment, and much more. From the beginning, we said there is no funding without reform, and we held to that. We also said we must adequately fund public transit. This legislation does that. It will address safety by bringing together law enforcement, violence prevention programs, and social service organizations. It will have accountability through performance metrics, service standards, and ensuring oversight from the Illinois General Assembly. It will remove transit barriers by directing free and reduced fare programs. It will address the fact that 95% of the longest commutes in the Chicago area region stem from Black and brown communities. It will provide the transformational investment that we all need to get around this region in our entire state. Because of our collaboration, we avoided 40% cuts to service and prevented 3,000 transit workers from receiving layoff notices. We ensure every resident has access to safe, reliable, affordable, and integrated public transit throughout our state. I am so proud to have been a sponsor. I am so proud to stand before you today. This is something we should all celebrate. Thank you so much. And with that, Thank you. And with that, we could not have got this done without my partners across the hall, and I would like to bring up one of them, Representative and Leader Evedina Delgado.
Okay, this is kind of like my Oscars moment, so bear with me, all right? My name is Evedina Delgado. I'm the state representative of the 3rd District on the northwest side of the city of Chicago, and I am so pleased to be standing in front of you all today on this momentous occasion. Today we celebrate a turning point, one that will shape how millions of Illinoisans move, work, and live for generations to come. For a century, public transit has been the backbone of our region. It connects workers to jobs, students to schools, patients to care, and families to opportunity. Millions benefit from a system that keeps our economy moving and our communities connected. But for too long, that system, like many across the nation, has been stretched thin. Fragmented governance, uneven investment, and post-COVID challenges left riders facing unreliable service, canceled routes, and a looming fiscal cliff. And without action, families across Chicagoland and across our state were at risk of being cut off from opportunity. But today, Illinois chooses action. This legislation replaces outdated bureaucracy with a unified, transparent Northern Illinois Transit Authority, or NITA, as we like to call it. A system built to plan better, coordinate smarter, and deliver results. It invests $1.5 billion to stabilize transit, modernize service, and ensure that buses and trains are safe, clean, frequent, and dependable. We know riders want to use systems that prioritize safety. A new law enforcement task force charged with immediate improvements to safety will work across agencies to address crime hotspots. We require transit agencies to develop detailed safety and service quality improvement plans, report publicly on them, and meet performance benchmarks. And just as importantly, this bill puts accessibility and dignity at the center of our transit future. For the disability community, this is a tremendous step forward. A new Office of Disability Planning and Policy ensures accessibility is not an afterthought, but a core responsibility. A regional transit accessibility plan will finally coordinate across CTA, Metra, and PACE. Sidewalk and infrastructure improvements will make it easier to reach transit stops safely, and our free and reduced fare programs for riders with disabilities are fully protected. This is about mobility, but it's also about equity, independence, and opportunity. We're doing something historic today. We are transforming how transit works while investing in who it serves. The future of transit is seamless service for riders, additional services to fast-growing parts of the region and state, and an integrated system that drives the region's economic growth. All of this while lowering carbon emissions, reducing traffic congestion, and improving air quality. This bill is the product of years of preparation, months of negotiation, and I want to thank the dedicated members of the House Public Transit Working Group that the speaker mentioned, not only for their leadership and persistence, but for their commitment to attend every meeting that we had, which I cannot even count. There were many. I'd also like to thank our staff, many of whom are here today: Marco Mendez, Priscilla Pena, Eric Halverson, Sakti Kumar, Dorothy Reinhardt. Without you all, this would not have been possible, so I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart. Years ago, and we started this years ago, I encouraged everybody to think boldly about transforming our transit system. And today, Illinois takes a major step forward in building a transit system that works for everybody. Thank you. I would now like to bring up leader Cam Buckner, who, again, without his support and help, we could not have gotten this done. Cam.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
Governor Pritzker, colleagues, partners, friends, today is a day that will echo far beyond this room and far beyond this moment. Because what Governor Pritzker will sign today is not just a transportation bill. I said this on the floor of the House. It is a transformation bill. It is the most comprehensive, consequential, and impactful transit legislation passed by any state at any time in the history of this country. And it is people-centered from the first page to the last. When I think about what this means, I don't just see trains or buses. I see faces, I hear stories. I see the single mother in Pullman, waking up before sunrise, catching the 111 bus to the red line, praying that she doesn't miss her transfer, because if she misses the train, she misses the bus, she misses her shift, which means she misses part of her paycheck. Today, we make her journey safer, more reliable, and more dignified. I see the grandmother from Uptown leaning on her cane, waiting for the 36 Broadway so she can make it to her doctor's appointment on time. Today, we protect her independence. I see the student in Little Village, books in one hand, ambition in the other, counting on the pink line to turn a dream into a diploma. Today, we strengthen their pathway to opportunity. And I see workers and families all across downstate Illinois, because this bill doesn't draw lines between 312, 217, and 618. This bill lifts all of us. We didn't just save CTA. We didn't just save Metro and Pace. We saved transit in every single county, every single region, and every single community in the state of Illinois. Let me say a quick word about NETA, the Northern Illinois Transit Authority, the backbone of this entire transformation. We said no revenue without meaningful reform. And NETA is that promise kept. Because if you've ever wondered what real accountability and transparency and coordination in transit looks like, this is your bill. If you ever begged for integrated fares so that your venture card treats CTA, Metro, and Pace like they're all belonging to the same family, this is your bill. If you ever need a paratransit and worried whether the system would see you, would serve you, or would even show up, this is your bill. If you live in Inglewood or Alston and have fought for the portion of your community cut off by the system to be restored and reconnected by simply reopening up a station, yep, this is your bill. If you care about the safety of the men and women who operate our buses and trains every single day, the operators, the conductors, the cleaners, the frontline staff, this is your bill. And if you ever wished that this region would put data on the table, real schedules, real performance, real accountability, this is your bill. NETA takes 50 years of fragmentation and turns it into one coordinated, aligned, accountable structure, designed for the riders who depend on it and the workers who keep it moving. When future generations look back at this moment, they won't say Illinois fixed transit. They will say Illinois reinvented it, because we didn't remake the system we used to have. We are creating a system that we have always deserved. And as I close, I want to honor the people who made this moment possible. Speaker Welch, thank you for trusting us to take on something this complex, this historic, and this necessary. You empowered a House working group that rolled up their sleeves, that argued, debated, strategized, and stayed focused on the people of Illinois every single step of the way. To our partner across the rotunda, Senator Villavalum, Deputy Governor Scudder, our friends in labor, particularly Local 150, ATU, AFL-CIO, and the TFL, to the transit advocates, to the folks who spent countless hours in negotiating rooms, and to the staff, once again, our incredible staff. Thank you for never tiring. And I have to lastly give special recognition to Leader Delgado. When the Speaker constituted the House Working Group nearly 2 years ago, he named us the co-chairs. But I was very, very clear from the beginning that on this ride, Evadina was Michael Jordan, and I was happily Scottie Pippen with some flashes of Dennis Rodman. Said differently, Leader Delgado was Batman, which made me, not Batgirl, Robin. Now, for years, Governor Pritzker, Michael Keaton and Christian Bale were my favorite Batmen, but after watching Evedina navigate this fight, the late nights, the spreadsheets, the agency calls, the negotiations, the impossible questions, I can officially say that Evedina Delgado is my favorite Batman. And as her trusted Robin in this mission, I'm proud to be her tag team partner on this and anything else any day of the week. Thank you, Governor, for taking this very seriously and providing a pathway for investment in Illinois and in her people. Today, we put our state back on track, and tomorrow we'll watch it move. Thank you. I have the pleasure now of introducing someone who needs no introduction, a huge champion for transit and for the public promise around the state, the Cook County Board President, Tony Pritzker.
Good morning. This is a great day for the people of Cook County and for our entire region. I want to thank Governor Pritzker for signing this landmark transit legislation and for recognizing that a strong, reliable, and equitable transit system is essential to our economic vitality and our quality of life. This achievement did not happen overnight. It's the result of years of hard work and collaboration by dedicated advocates, business leaders, labor leaders, and elected officials who understood that the status quo was no longer sustainable. We all came together to pass a transformative package of transit reforms and funding that will place our region's transit system on a stronger and more sustainable foundation. For too long, our transit system has operated as a collection of separate parts, siloed, rather than as a unified regional transit network. The creation of the Northern Illinois Transit Authority marks a critical step forward in changing that reality. By coordinating planning, capital investment, and fare policy across agencies, this new authority will ensure that our transit system finally works as one, efficiently, transparently, and in service to the people who rely on it each and every day. That matters deeply in Cook County. Hundreds of thousands of our residents rely on public transit to get to work, to school, to medical appointments, to care for their families. Public transit's not a luxury, it's a lifeline. When service is unreliable or unaffordable, it's working people, seniors, and the historically marginalized communities that pay the price. This legislation takes meaningful steps toward addressing these inequities and building a system that serves all of our residents, no matter the zip code that they live in. The new funding structure is both responsible and forward-looking. It confronts immediate budget shortfalls head-on, while also laying the groundwork for long-term stability and growth. Most importantly, it positions our region to improve and expand service, connecting more people to jobs, education, healthcare, and opportunity, and strengthening our regional economy in the process. I want to extend my sincere appreciation to House Leader Evedina Delgado, House Leader Cam Buckner, and Senator Ram Vilivalam for their leadership, persistence, and vision. Illinois had a once-in-a-generation opportunity to reform and rebuild our transit system, and because of their work and the coalition that stood with them, we seized that opportunity. I also want to thank my own team, our intergovernmental affairs staff, Lisbeth Lianos, Nish Didakavi, Tommy Thompson, and of course our subject matter experts, Sis Killen and Jesse Elam, for their good work. We know there's a lot of work ahead. Thank you. We know there's more work ahead, but today we should recognize that this moment represents a shared commitment to regional collaboration, fiscal responsibility, and equity. Together, we've taken the first step toward delivering the modern, accessible, and truly regional network that our residents deserve. And I look forward to continuing this work in partnership with all of you on behalf of the people of Cook County and our region. And now I'd like to bring to the podium Tim Dre.
Good morning, everyone. First of all, what I'd like to do is have all the union members give us a big shout out for being here today. All you union members. Thank you. You're the people that got this done. Your phone calls, your emails, your constant advocacy got this job done. And I want to thank the staff members of both the House, the Senate, and the governor's staff, led by Bria. You know, they worked late into the night with Mary Tyler and Gus Fugit and Francis Arenik to get this bill to where it is today. A bill that has the framework for a safer and more pleasant experience for riders and workers, and with a dedicated law enforcement on transit. An ambassador program to make sure that people can have help and whatever they need in social services and just directions on transit. And the development of a new user-friendly app that somebody could get to Naperville to Wrigley Field or Rape Field or wherever just by getting on one app, one application. Just great stuff. But really all of this shows that Illinois is a leader in encouraging, ensuring mass transit in the Chicago region and downstate. Is a safe, reliable means of transportation for decades to come. And thank you, Governor Pritzker, Leaders Welch, and President Harmon. And I got to tell you that you guys kind of did get me in trouble, though. I woke up on Thursday, October 30th, and I told my wife, I'm going to work. I'll probably be home early. I don't think transit's going to go. I will tell you, I got home early, but it was 7 o'clock on October 31st, and I got home. So thank you very much for getting this done. Thank you very much. And, I'm sorry, I always do this. I am pleased to introduce Bob Ryder, my co-chair in the Labor Alliance for Public Transit, steadfast partner, Bob Ryder.
As Tim said, my name is Bob Ryder. I'm president of the Chicago Federation of Labor. The CFL represents 300 unions and in turn represent 500,000 working people in Chicago and Cook County. And I am so excited to be here. And when I got here today, just being in this room is stirring to me. You know, about 25 years ago, I started going to law school at Chicago Kent College of Law with my friend Mark Polis from Local 150. And, you know, it was either the Metra or the CTA that got me there every day. Whether I was walking out of this station or walking out of the Blue Line station down the street. To be trained with a fleet of labor activists in the labor program over at Chicago Kent. And I'm glad that I was able to be part of this monumental piece of legislation that gives back to the working people of Chicago and Cook County and the rest of Illinois. You see, what folks don't appreciate all the time is when you get on that train, that working person who's checking your ticket, whose jobs are also to make sure that everything goes right in that train car every day. To be violence interrupters, to be stewards of the accountability of the train, but also the engineer whose job it is to make sure that you're safe. The CTA rail operator who's there to put the brake on when something goes sideways. The folks back in the shop, the machinists, the mechanics, the tradespeople who make sure that you can get up safely to the platform. You see, it's not just the kids who go to law school who depend on the CTA, or the folks who are getting to jobs downtown. It's the people from Englewood and Chatham and Austin who are using the CTA to get to work, to get their kids to public school. The little kid who gets on the PACE bus or on the CTA bus on Halstead with his mom, to make sure that he's able to be safe, the transportation's there for them to depend on, that they can rely on it, and the workers who make it happen every single day. Thank you. See, I understand what it takes for someone working at a factory in Des Plaines who comes from the 10th Ward of Chicago to use our transit system to get there every day. Because I've talked to her. I've talked to her. And I know how important it is. And as crazy as it sounds, for someone who doesn't experience our public transit to be able to get that done, it happens. It happens. And I want to thank Governor Pritzker. I want to thank our leadership with Senate President Harman and my friend, Speaker of the House, Chris Welch, Bria Scudder, you know, the governor's team holding us accountable every day, all of us advocates, and all of our teams who made it happen. I am so proud to be here to represent the labor movement, to do something transformational. And now I'd like to bring up our next speaker, Laura Calderon. Thank you.
Thank you, Bob. Good morning. My name's Laura Calderon, and I'm the Executive Director of the Illinois Public Transportation Association. And on behalf of the 58 transit agencies across Illinois that we represent, I'm truly honored to be here. And thank you, Governor, for the opportunity to be here and for your leadership in advancing Senate Bill 2111. This bill makes a meaningful long-term investment in transit statewide so communities can stop worrying about whether service can survive from one year to the next and start focusing on serving people better. This historic investment in our state's transportation network will ensure service is reliable, vehicles are safe, our transit operators are on the job, and it gives local transit leaders the ability to plan for the future instead of managing constant uncertainty. Public transit is an essential public service, and this bill recognizes that and also acknowledges that mobility in downstate Illinois matters. It recognizes that while that mobility may look different outside of the city of Chicago, it's no less essential. Downstate transit systems serve 95 counties in Illinois and provide more than 30 million rides each year, connecting people to jobs, school, healthcare, and daily necessities. Downstate transit has faced growing financial strain driven by rising costs and demand, limited local resources, and a funding structure that simply was not keeping pace. Senate Bill 2111 directly addresses those challenges. This bill makes an historic investment in downstate operating assistance and stabilizes a fund that has been structurally under-resourced and puts downstate transit on a more sustainable path. Additionally, this measure reduces pressure on local communities that are struggling to meet required local match, particularly in rural and small urban areas where economic growth may be slower. And the costs to meet transit demands, and the costs to meet the transit demands of those communities are rising. This change helps prevent the fiscal cliff that all of these communities were facing. Senate Bill 2111 strengthens downstate transit's capital future by dedicating a share of the road fund and state construction account interest to the downstate capital needs, while also providing flexibility to protect operating service if a shortfall ever occurs. Just as important, this bill includes smart, responsible reform by creating an interagency coordinating committee to better integrate downstate transit with intercity bus and rail. These changes promote accountability, long-term stability, and a more connected statewide transportation network. This legislation will succeed because it was built as a statewide solution. We are deeply grateful to Senator Villivalam and to leaders Delgado and Buckner for their leadership, resolve, and commitment to ensuring that downstate communities were included in the transit reform conversations. We thank Speaker Welch and Senate President Harmon, and of course to Governor Pritzker for signing this legislation today. Their work ensured that this bill reflects the needs of Illinois as a whole. IPTA looks forward to continuing to work with you and the Illinois General Assembly to build on this progress and to ensure equitable, reliable mobility for all Illinoisans. Thank you. And now I'd like to introduce Tom Katarik.
Good morning. I'm Tom Katarik. I'm with the Civic Committee of the Commercial Club of Chicago, one of the largest civic organizations and business institutions in the state. And I want to say that I'm really proud and excited to be a part of this celebration. I'm proud to be an Illinoisan and a Chicagoan today. We stepped up. We had a huge problem. We didn't let it get to a crisis. We leaned in with the leadership behind us. This is a bill, they often say success has many parents. There's too many people to thank. I counted behind me, we have 57 people. I think there's at least 180 in the room. This is a huge success. This is a story where Illinois is leaning into its strongest asset. That's our transportation network. It is what drives our economy, and now we're going to drive it even further. And I'd like to just tell a story of coalition that helped get this done. It is a wide and deep coalition of the elected leadership behind me, the business community, the environmental community, the Illinois Clean Jobs Coalition, locally elected officials. 25 people back behind me got on a plane and went to Germany to look at one of the best transit systems in the world, and they said, we can come home and we can start the trajectory to getting us there. That's what this legislation is going to do for us. We are a global city. We are putting ourselves on the map with an asset that we have that is unlike any other, and that's our transit network. We're creating a new agency to help deliver it. It's called NEDA. It is going to take a lot of work. The pen, when it hits this paper, which is going to make me very excited, is also when we have to work the hardest to make this a success, to deliver on the promise and the vision that all of the leaders behind me helped put into law that will become law shortly. I want to say thank you to every single one of you. This is a huge day. I'm very proud to be a part of it and want to say thanks again. And I'd like to bring up one of the most important sort of parts of this coalition is Keith Hill, who represents the bus workers, who are going to deliver even better, safer, more reliable service thanks to this legislation.
Good morning. My name is Keith. I'm going to do something I normally don't do. I'm actually going to read from a piece of paper. I go off my heart because that's how passionate I am about transit and making sure people get from point A to point B safely, affordably, and on time. There are many times when one stand up and make a speech to curry favor with politicians in the hope that they will respond and support a position. You hope that they will do what you believe is the right thing. In this case, I stand before you today, speaking from the heart and offering my sincere thanks to Governor J.B. Pritzker, Speaker Welch, Senator President Harmon, Leader Delgado, Leader Buckner. I can't forget Leader Evans, Leader Morton, and doing what we recognize was an obligation owed to the citizens of the state of Illinois. I have often said that mass transit is what makes the city work. This is true not only to the most extreme times, such as when COVID hit, but also today, day in and day out. Mass transit not only drives the economy, it serves as the economic engine in every city, but it also provides the only means of transportation for our most vulnerable people that have to go about day to day with their activities in daily life. Those who formulated, supported, and drove this mass transit bill to the finish line did not have to be pushed to take action. because from the very beginning, they recognized the duty they owed the citizens of the state. They never lost sight of their obligation as elected officials. This stands in a stark contrast to the current Trump administration, which acts only when personal gain is involved. Those who led the fight for the passage of mass transit bill did not do it for personal gain, but for the benefit of every citizen who elected them. Their actions personified their leaderships is truly about to set the example, holding elected officials carriers of serious responsibility. That responsibility can never be forgotten. On behalf of my membership, who also will be provided with some job security, on behalf of the riding public, on behalf of the businesses whose workers depend on mass transit, on behalf of the most vulnerable residents of this state, who so often lack a voice and is rarely heard in politics. I want to say thank you. I express my deepest appreciation for your vision, your effort, and most importantly, your courage in recognizing and doing what is right and necessary from the very beginning, notwithstanding the adversity that you faced from the public in doing this. Also, I have a list of thank yous before I close out. When I say a list, from my membership of 20,000 members. Governor Pritzker, I want to thank you for this day, this opportunity. Deputy Governor Scudder, Governor Pritzker, I sit on a phone call with many agencies across the United States. I can honestly say I sit on that phone call right now with pride and say, my governor showed y'all how to do this, how to take care of transit in your state. So I thank you. President Harmon, I really want to thank you. I know I was annoying. I know at times you didn't want to answer my call, but I thank you for taking every call. Speaker Welch is an honorary 241 member. I actually got a picture of him driving a bus, if you want to see it. Speaker Welch, I thank you for your dedication, your leadership, and always being a straightforward young man. This is what this state needs. I thank you. To my dear friend, Leader Delgado, when I say I bugged the heck out this, I can't cuss, right? So I'm gonna say the right word. When I say I bugged the heck out this lady, I want to thank you for answering every phone call, taking the time to talk to every member that I brought before you. I really want to thank you. Leader Buckner, who actually took time out to come visit us, to talk to members, to hear the horror stories, to show compassion to my members, and keep that dedication for the riders of this great state. I want to thank you. Senator Vellavon, I bugged the heck out this man, but I really want to thank you for answering every call. I really want to thank you for taking the time to talk to myself and my members. President Pritzker, I want to thank you for stepping up, you and your team, and addressing our safety and giving that bending ear to us. I thank you. President Tim Dre, my members thank you for all that you've done, the fights, the compassion, I thank you. President Ryder, you know I thank you. I think he stepped away. I thank you, my members thank you, but I really want to end it with this. It's my time, I think somebody just said something. This bill is bigger than what we think it is. I've been involved in this union since 2000. I've been a lobbyist to now president. This bill delivered the world-class transit, not just as this state deserves, because every elected official behind me, they didn't just think of Chicago. It took care of every state from Rockford to East St. Louis. So on behalf of the state of Illinois and every registered voter, I thank everyone behind me. I would now like to call my sister, Penny McCoach.
Good morning. Good morning. I stand here proudly representing over 2,800 members that move the city of Chicago. Public transit is the lifeblood of our economy, and today, ATU Local 308 members are breathing a sigh of relief, knowing that they will have a job and can provide for their families. For months, workers and riders worried about the transit physical cliff, fearing mass layoffs, service cuts, and their ability to get to and from work, doctor's appointments, and more. Thanks to Governor Pritzker leadership, Speaker Welch, President Harmon, Leader Delgado, State Senator Valavalem, and everyone else in the General Assembly who stepped up, we are building a brighter future for Chicago that invests in the future of the good. I also would like to thank the LAPT Coalition, as well as my ATU family. And with this bill, there will be union jobs, transit riders, and our community will feel secure. Thank you. Now, with that being said, I would like the honor to bring up our governor, Governor Pritzker.
Don't forget his camera's up. Sit down, sit down, sit down in the audience, stay down. Phones down, phones down. If you're in the audience, put your phone down, please. Phones down.
Okay, we're going to take a minute. I'll take a few questions from members of the media, and then